Welcome to the Yogi Triathlete podcast, where we dive into the heart of endurance, the power of the mind, and the strength of community. I'm Jessica Gumkowski, your host, and I'm joined today by my co-host, as always, and our master coach, BJ Gumkowski. Today, we bring you a powerful conclusion to the Ironman First Timers series as we sit down with four remarkable athletes from Team YogiTriathlete: Laura, Brendan, Patrick, and Emma. Each of these athletes is coached by BJ and has completed the life-changing journey to the Ironman finish line. Before we dive in, we want to give a special shout out to YogiTriathlete Coach Melissa, who couldn't join us for this wrap up, but made her mark at IMAZ by executing a picture-perfect race. Melissa walked away with the sixth fastest run in her age group, a monumental achievement. Both Melissa and Emma came so close to Kona qualifications, and they leave Arizona with their sights set on reaching that incredible goal. For BJ and me, this series has been the fulfillment of a dream to witness Yogi Triathlete thrive beyond us and see this community come together in ways that surpass our wildest expectations. The bonds formed and the resilience displayed by these athletes throughout their journeys has been nothing short of inspiring. Tonight, we'll hear the reflections, lessons, and stories from these first-time Ironman finishers. What did it feel like to hear you are an Ironman for the first time? How did their preparation carry them through the highs and lows of race day? And what lies ahead now that they've conquered this massive goal? This episode is a celebration of endurance, community, and the belief that we are always capable of more than we know. So let's wrap up this unforgettable series with four voices who embody what it means to be Yogi Triathletes. Laura, Brendan, Patrick, and Emma, welcome to the show.
Happy to be back. Thanks for having us.
We'll take that as speaking for everyone. Thank you, Laura. It is quite challenging when you pull a bunch of people together for a podcast, but we made it possible again. And before we get into the race details, because that's really what people want to hear about, I want to backtrack to the night before, and if you could talk about, let's start with Brendan, because we just got off our chat together, so this is fresh in my mind. What was the dominant emotion you experienced the night before the race, and how did you manage it?
I think just I would love to say I was afraid or excited, but I just felt kind of calm. I know I had kind of done the work. I had my girlfriend Kristen with me, and she's always kind of my rock and kept me pretty calm. I think we were just watching The Office or Harry Potter. And just kind of I knew I wanted to fall asleep by 7, and I tried to just keep things relaxed because I knew if I was relaxed going to sleep, I'd wake up feeling relaxed. And I think that's a powerful place to be. So yeah, I just just kind of vibed out, tried to pretend like I wasn't doing this really big event the next day. Tried to trick the mind a little bit, just being oh no, just go to sleep. There's no reason why you're eating just plain white rice right now. Yeah, I really honestly felt I felt really good. I felt really calm, felt kind of aligned. I would love to say I felt afraid, but I really didn't. So I knew I'd done the work. Yeah. It was, I slept pretty well, all things considered. I didn't think I was going to sleep that well. And I woke up maybe once in the middle of the night, and just went right back to sleep. Kind of business as usual, which was kind of cool. Kind of made me feel pretty good. Yeah.
What was the first thought you had when you woke up?
Oh shit, here we go. And then I had to use the bathroom, and then I really focused on just eating breakfast and trying to get that in. I'm such a perfectionist sometimes. I was I need to have this food done at 3 a.m. exactly. It needs to be all gone. And then I think I finished my bagel at 3:05. It was all right, you're fine. It's just crazy. I thought I had all this time to get ready. I'm doing mobility, and I'm Kristen, what time is it? She's oh, it's 4 a.m. And I'm oh, we gotta fucking go. It's time to move. And yeah, it was a great morning. It was cool. It was like finally it's arrived. Like this moment that we've been just training for and thinking about. It's just been in the back burner or the front burner. It's just like it's here. Like our moment has arrived. It was really cool. And like just sharing space with everyone, the 4 people here, the 6 people here, plus Melissa, just sharing space the days before, just really like made it that much more special for me personally. It was just another day to hang out with some homies, you know? It was cool. Yeah.
I feel like I had a slightly different experience. I feel like I had like a lot of family and friends in town. So I felt like I was entertaining kind of, even though no one made me feel any pressure to entertain. I just felt like I was like on having my parents there, my little brother there. I hadn't seen my little brother in a long time. Hadn't seen my little brother's girlfriend in a long time. Hadn't seen a lot of my friends in a long time. So I feel like I was on like go, go, go mode. And then the night before the race, I feel like I was like, oh shit, like, okay, like this is happening tomorrow. So I feel like I had like I didn't even give myself maybe the chance to even like let it soak in until the night that I went to bed. And then I got in bed and my partner Felicia was like, kind of led me through like a little guided meditation because I was having a low key, like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I can do this. Like a little bit of doubt, like if I'm being perfectly honest, not even like doubt in the sense of like not trusting the training or not believing in myself, just like the confrontation of the fact that I was doing a full Ironman the next morning. So I feel like I had a little bit of like I didn't go to bed calm, or I didn't start to lay in bed calm until I kind of was able to get some reassurance from my partner and just some silence with her. And then, and then in the morning, I feel like something switched and I was just like totally calm. I didn't have any doubt. Like I showed up on race day. I saw a bunch of you guys out there. I think I saw Laura, I saw Brendan. I don't know if I saw you, Patrick, but I saw a bunch of people and I feel like my nerves were just like totally at ease. And I just had this like super calm presence and I knew that I was going to be just fine out there. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I went to bed super calm or super confident. I had to be like talked off a ledge a little bit. But then when I showed up in the morning, I was ready to go and I felt really solid.
Yeah, I slept really well considering. I mean, I look at my sleep data, it wasn't great, but I had a pretty calm night. I was there alone. What my anxiety was, I'm gonna sleep through this, or I've forgotten something. It's so funny. Maybe it was like my way of distracting, but similar to what Brendan and Emma said, it's like I had done the work. I was like, there's nothing more I can do. Plus where I had come from, I was just so grateful to be there. But I was like, oh, I'm gonna forget like it's kind of like the dream when like I was my helmet's not in my bag, right? Or the tire's flat and I can't pump it up. It was all about the equipment and getting there and not getting everything done. Of course, like life is random and but the night before, like I actually felt really calm. I think maybe it had to do with being there with all of you. I felt like I had done the work. So there wasn't like, oh, if I had just done this workout or I had missed something. It was really just about getting all my things together. That's probably what the biggest anxiety was around. Do I have everything? Did I forget something? Am I going to get there in time to take care of everything?
I remember Brendan and I talking, I think it was once we got registered or our bike was turned in, everything was dropped off, bags are done. And there was just this sense of like, okay, now it's game time. Like it was like this buildup of one more thing to just mark off to make sure we're prepared for game day. And once all those things were marked off, it was like calm in the storm. Like everything there was nothing more to do but show up, and there was some relief in that. And so that had this calming effect on me, was knowing that there's nothing left to do besides show up with what you've done and do the best you can with what you have. So that was just a sense of calm. I agree with what Emma said too, is just seeing you guys in the morning and
Brendan, you helped me pump my tires. Patrick, you did too. Like, I just had this like crew of people, and little, like you had said, Jess, a long time ago, there's gonna be little angels along the way. And in the morning there was too. And, you know, maybe I don't know that I slept great. I was kind of waking up similar to Patrick, like, am I going to miss the alarm, or am I going to have enough time to stretch? Am I going to eat exactly at 3:00? And, you know, just like all these things, I'm kind of a perfectionist as well. And I wanted to show up with everything I had. So there was some anticipation of missing that wake up time, but I just remember through past experiences to breathe through that no matter how much sleep I get, I'm going to perform. I'm going to be great. And I've had experiences like that before where I didn't sleep at all and I showed up the best athlete I could that day. And so I knew that was possible. So not to stress about not sleeping, just calm myself, meditate, go back to sleep, wake up. If I woke up again, calm myself, go back to sleep, knowing that it was what it was meant to be, and I'll show up just fine.
You know, I think I saw Emma. I think you were the only one I saw that morning, Emma. And then BJ and I kind of split off because we wanted to get some video and we were getting like some B-roll. And then I ended up going the opposite way. I think you ended up kind of seeing most people and stuff. And I got to this point where I was on the other side of the Mill Street Bridge and people weren't lined up yet on the wall. And I was like, oh, I could get a really good spot for the crew to be on the wall. And then there was this part of me that was like, you got to go back. You got to find everyone. And I was like, no, like they're coming out of the cocoon. Don't help them. Like they have everything they need. Don't like go over there and like cut open their cocoon and try and get them out. Like just give them their experience and let them, you know, and let them go. And I, yeah, that was kind of a hard thing to do, but I did get that great spot on the wall and we were able to pick you guys out, which was amazing. Like Emma, you were the first one, of course, like, and we were just screaming at you and we saw everyone because we had this great spot on the wall. So yeah, those are hard things to do sometimes. It's just kind of like, okay, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Whether you're on the support end of it or you're the actual athlete. And then I was like, no, we've done our job. Like BJ's done his job. Like it's time to pull away.
Yeah. I'll speak to that too. That is a super challenging experience to have. I'll speak personally as a coach to not connect on race morning. Like that is something I have in the past, you know, and I think some of you might've asked, are we going to meet up? Are we going to meet up? And I used to do that. And what that does is it kind of creates a little bit more extra stress. Like you got to go meet and talk and really do what? So race morning, it's about having your experience, whatever is most calm for you in that moment, whether you need to hang in transition or you need to get out early or you need to be with your partner or you need to be alone, whatever that is leading into the race, that's a really important time. And so as a coach, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's just really tough. I know I saw Emma and I saw Brendan, but I didn't see anybody else. And I was kind of like, oh my God, like, where are they? And as I was walking along the swim corral, I'm like, stop looking, just go meet Jess, go sit on the wall and wait. And it's really tough to do, but I understand the higher purpose of it. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot going on race morning, getting the wetsuit on, getting to the bathroom, dropping your morning clothes bag, getting your breath work in. So I feel confident in these later stages that you guys have all the tools necessary to manage those morning emotions. So with that, was there a moment during the race when you thought about stopping or felt overwhelmed? And how did you manage to move through that? Let's go to you, Emma.
Yeah, it's funny. I know, BJ, you and I chatted yesterday, and I feel like if I'm being perfectly honest, I was expecting to have multiple moments like that. Like I was expecting to have a point on the bike and multiple points on the run where I was just going to want to like throw in the towel. And this is not me being like braggadocious or whatever, but I literally did not feel that way at all. I feel like I was completely physically and mentally equipped to do the race. If like you go into this, like not really knowing, it's like, I think I've done the work. Like I've done everything that BJ put in Training Peaks. Like I think I'm good. But the putting them all together and doing it in one day, like, no, we don't do that in training. So none of us, right? Like none of us had any clue what to expect. And I was expecting to butt up against moments where I was going to want to walk or be done. And I just didn't have any moments like that. It was the most like mind, you know what, it was just completely like, that was the biggest takeaway. I was like, I just don't understand how I didn't have any moments like that out there. There were certainly a couple of moments where I was dealing with, I bought a tri bike 2.5 weeks before the race. So I was dealing with a little bit of like groin pain on the bike that sorted itself out at mile 45 and it just went away. And in that moment, I remember feeling like, oh shit, like I did this to myself. Like I made this decision to show up and ride this bike. And now I'm going to deal with the pain for, 112 miles on the bike and 26 miles on the run. And it just sorted itself out. And I think I had a couple moments like that where I just made the decision in that moment to not get ahead of that moment. Like it's so easy to think about, oh my gosh, I'm only on mile 32 of the bike ride and like I'm in pain. It's like, well, if you get ahead of yourself and you start thinking about what you're going to feel like at mile 60 and mile 90 and mile 112 and at 10 miles on the bike, like you're screwed. So I feel like I just was able to pull in my, my tool belt of tricks, like to stay as present as I possibly could. And like, BJ, you put it really well. We were on the phone. Like, I feel like I was just in like flow state, like all day long. Like I felt like out there in the water, like I could have just kept going. And like, same on the bike. I definitely got bored on the bike, but I feel like I, again, was in like flow state. Like I just felt so good. And despite having like some stomach issues not some pretty gnarly stomach issues on the run, like I still was able to just be like fully present. And like, I genuinely like had fun out there. Like I had every single time I saw anybody and not even seeing anyone. I feel like I just was smiling like the entire experience. And so, yeah, I didn't have a moment where I was like over it or done. I mean, mile 24.5 on the run, I was ready to see the finish line. I was ready to hear you're an Ironman for sure. But for the most part, like testament to the training, the mindset training and the physical training, like I couldn't have been more prepared, which is amazing.
So Emma, you mentioned you got this tri bike 2 weeks out from the race. And it's important to note that you've never ridden a tri bike before. But I want you to just give a shout out to whoever the hell fitted you on that thing, because they did such a great job and you could tell it was like, they didn't have you in this, they had you aero enough. They didn't have you in this super crazy aggressive position, but like who fitted you on that? Because they did an amazing job. And I think that was a big part of your, bike success, being able to do that.
Yeah, I went to a guy, there's a really nice, actually, triathlon shop here in Arvada in Colorado. It's like 25 minutes from Denver. This guy, Zach, shout out Zach. He also did Ironman Arizona. He was there, and I met a bunch of people actually through him and through the multiple trips I made to this bike shop to make sure that my fit was good for the ride, who were doing the race. So yeah, and I was really clear with him, like, I've never been on a tri bike. I don't want to be uncomfortable. Like I want to feel comfortable on this bike in this position. So, yeah, I went back and forth for probably 3 days. Like, should I do it? Should I ride it? Should I not ride it? Should I ride it? Like, and it just felt right, for me. And it felt right on race day too. So yeah, it worked out.
I think there's an element there for those that are listening, like, you make the decision and then you go all in with the decision and I know you might have mentioned it once, and actually Patrick did too, like bring both bikes, like a road bike and the bike that you've been using and the tri bike. It's like, that's opening up the possibility for doubt to creep in. So you stick with that. And Laura too, you had a new bike, and Brendan too. Oh my God, everybody had new bikes. But Emma was cutting
not as new as Emma's.
Was as close to the race as you could get. But it's make a decision and then stick with it. And also, I think it's an important piece to mention, like ask perspective, which you did, and then you still moved forward with your decision. And then everybody's on board. This is what we're going to do, because introducing any sort of doubt, anything that's not helping you move forward is not going to be helpful. So I think there's a big success when you get everybody on board. You make the decision. You're running the show. This is your experience. And then you move forward. So I think it's pretty powerful that you had that exceptional bike, but actually exceptional day. To be honest, everything came together.
I think it's a testament too to the mindset training. Like I think 2 years ago, me would have been like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Like getting everyone's input, like, and completely stifling my mind. Like I got input. I talked to a few people. That was it. I gathered my information. I made my decision and I didn't look back. Like, I do think that's a huge testament to the mindset training for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that leads into when you say make a decision and stick with it, the non-negotiable from the moment I started was I'm finishing. Like it was a non-negotiable. There was no quitting. There was no, and I went back to, I think it was Melissa's recap on what it's like to be a beginner triathlon or triathlete. And she said, the comfort is at the finish line. So that was kind of my mantra because my swim did not go that well. My swim was, I was freezing the whole time. I was shaking. I was in the water a lot longer than I wanted to be. But the only way I was going to find comfort and warmth was to swim and to keep moving. And that getting out of the water was not an option. Stopping at a kayak for me was not an option. It wasn't necessary. And I knew I'd just get colder. So I just kept swimming. I kept one arm in front of the other. If I cramped a little bit on the way back towards the finish in my calves, it was a long swim. I was burning a lot of calories, I'm sure, to try to stay warm. And so it wasn't that I wanted to quit. It wasn't this desire to quit. It was a fire that I wasn't going to quit. It was just never an option. And the weird thing for me was I started to feel better all day long. Like all day long, I felt more strong. I felt more capable. I felt happier. I was more joyful. Like I was thinking it was going to be the other way around, where I just was feeling better as my body was recovering, I think, to run the swim. But I just was warming up. I was feeling more like myself. I was getting my fuel in. I was like, it wasn't that my last phase of the bike was like I wanted to stay on there another hour. I was very happy to get onto my running legs. But the run felt amazing, the whole run. And so I just felt like I fueled well, I prepared well, that I wasn't going to waste that swim. That was a motivator for me, was like, you just did that. So we're going to really we're going to push the rest of the race the best of your ability. And I just felt really good. So I don't think it was moments of wanting to quit. It was just this non-negotiable that it wasn't an option. And that's like, I'm picking this bike. I'm doing this bike. I'm not bringing my road bike. It was the same thought. Like, I'm not quitting. You're going to have to peel me off this course or drag me out of the water. Like, that's just not an option.
Yeah. When you came out of the water, I have the video of it.
It wasn't that pretty.
Wrapped in a space blanket with medical next to you, and Patrick sort of like, it was so interesting because you guys were together and Patrick was just like looking around, and I'm like, are they together? Do they not know they're together right there? Like they've been swimming together the whole back way. And then you came in and the medical just took you right into the tent, and we were like, I don't know what's going to happen. Patrick too, you both were in a spot.
You looked cold.
But the cool thing was 30 minutes later, when you got out on the bike, you're like riding by us as you leave and you're like, I'm back. And I knew Patrick was not too far behind. Yeah, that was a pretty impressive swim. If anybody else wants to add in, and Patrick or Brendan, any challenge?
I guess I'll segue into my story. So, I mean, I felt great. I had heard all the stories that Emma alluded to. People were like, "There's going to be moments," and kind of psyched me out a little bit. I was like, I feel good. But I did have a moment where I thought I might have to stop. I got food poisoning, and I remember I was waiting in line. Laura and I went in together, and I was starting to feel like my stomach rumbling, and I was like, oh, this is unfortunate. I'm packed in like a sardine about to go in, and my stomach started acting up, and I was like, I guess this is just the way it's going to be. And I got in and it got worse, and I kept swimming, and I started feeling worse. And there was a point coming around the turn where I was like really feeling bad, and felt like I was gonna throw up, not because of the endurance, just because like it was just like, I don't know, about being lateral and feeling like that is not a good space. And I remember looking up and I saw the kayakers, and I was like, hell if I'm stopping. I came all this way. They're gonna drag my ass out of the water. I might, and I just kept, but it definitely was tough. I did not enjoy the swim, even though I wanted to. I just got through it. I just went buoy to buoy and was like, all right, I'm just going to get back and get done on this because I know this is the weakest part of my triathlon, and I just went moment to moment, and that second bridge couldn't have come soon enough. And I got in, and what I didn't realize is even though I didn't get medical, I had some slight hypothermia too. So, I went, I had to go to the restroom, and I got my stuff and and felt better, but definitely wasn't feeling 100%. And then I got in the tent, and I was shaking, and I made it. I said in the earlier broadcast, my goals were to complete, to have fun, be competitive, and maybe even qualify. Right. So 3 and 4, I just like threw out the window at that point. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this thing, and I'm going to have fun. And it was a mental reset for me at that point because there was a part of me that was disappointed that this is where I was at. But the other part was like knew to flip the script on this, and I took my time, made sure I was physically okay, got all my stuff on, and went out, and and I had a blast. I mean, the bike was probably the easiest part for me, although my neck was so frozen, I had trouble getting an aero for like the first half hour. Like literally, my neck was too cold to hold my head in aero. But that warmed up, and Laura and I saw each other quite a bit on the bike, which was hilarious and good and very encouraging. We saw like three times, I think, and then at the personal stop area, the personal bag area, and that was good. And then the run, man, I came out the gate and I was like, finally, like I had this food poisoning, but it was like 12 hours later. I was like, all right, I cleared this all out of me. I'm gonna go run, and I hit the run, and I got a couple miles in. And the problem I had was I was having trouble getting my nutrition plan in because I knew I was tired. We're going to be that way with the run, but because my body was compromised, as soon as I started taking the nutrition in, I started having that feeling, that nausea I had in the swim again. And so I just had to settle back and make a decision, and really had to figure out on the fly, like what I could take. So I had all these liquid packs, but back to the question, like I was not going to stop. I just wasn't going to push myself so hard that I fell or got nauseated. Right. So I think I mentioned to you, BJ, when I ran by, I was actually feeling good. Then I kind of hit this feeling, and I saw Jess a little bit later. It's like I was in body management mode. And so I was like, each rest area, I was like, I'm going to try a little bit of water, try a little moral hydration. Okay, that's okay. I'm going to try 2 sips of water. I'm going to try some. That's right. That's okay. Try some soda. That's not good. And then just kind of managed. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to get to the last 10K, and then I'll hit the jets a little bit because I know I can recover from that. And that's kind of what I did. And that was probably. But back to the question, like it was never a concern to stop. I just wanted, honestly, I wanted to finish, but I wanted all 5 of us to finish. I really, really, really did. And I had fun. And when I crossed the finish line, my friend locally, I was going to see the next day, he had showed up and I heard my name get yelled as I came across the exit, and it just like booted me up. And then that just made, we all are going to talk about that next, but it made that journey. But definitely that moment in the water, I'll always remember that moment going, oh, this is what he was talking about. I'm right here, and hell no, drag my ass out.
I saw you on the run, and it was already nightfall at that point. And I think BJ, you were up trying to grab like Emma, Melissa, the finishers, and Patrick and I ran together for a little bit, and we were chatting. And Patrick, your mindset was just so exceptional because you had been sick since before the race even began. And we were talking about your nutrition, and you were explaining to me what you just explained to everybody here on the show. But you kept saying to me, like, but I'm really having a great time. Like, and it's such a testament to a strong mindset, because it's like, that would have brought so many people down, but you tended to it, but you didn't give it fully your power, right? Like, okay, this is going to be in charge of my day. You were like, no, I'm really enjoying myself, Jess. Like, you were like having like this delightful time. And it was just really amazing to have that experience, just be able to, run next to you and get that feedback from you, and just watch how resilient. I wouldn't even say resilient, because that almost gives an idea of like that you had fallen, like mentally, but you, despite being sick even before, which started before you got into the swim, you just remained solid and determined and delightful. Like you were just delightful to run next to and to see out there. And wow, that's just really, really strong mindset and beautiful to see.
Yeah, thanks. It felt good. I felt relief. I just kind of, one of the things I did is I started thanking the volunteers and just like joking
Gratitude.
around and kind of tricking myself a little bit. But it's like my 2024 has been like this. I had the setbacks with the injuries and I was there. And this was just a microcosm of my 2024. And the funny thing is, I got bad Tempe in Tempe. And that's the joke of it all.
Awesome. Well, not awesome.
Yeah, no,
awesome.
It's not awesome. It's terrible, but it's very interesting, very unique to your life path, I guess, for that experience.
How about you, Brendan? If you want
I'll chime in for a sec. I mean, first of all, bad Tempe in Tempe is hilarious. And that sucks, Patrick. But I'm glad that you finished. That was amazing. I'm happy that I got to see you on the run. You're the only person I didn't get to see until like the very end. It was like I saw you. I was sitting down and I saw you on the run. I was like, let's go. Like, we got this. There's no doubt in my mind that we're all going to finish. I think just to speak to the question, did I ever feel like I was going to quit? No, never thought I was going to quit. There was one point of doubt that I remember, and it was maybe second or probably going out on the third lap or coming back on the third lap, where I just remember thinking this was on the bike, third lap on the bike, just thinking how am I going to run on these legs right now? Like, this doesn't seem like a sensation that I'm going to be able to carry for 26 more miles on my feet. And, I'm happy with myself in that moment. I was able to kind of catch that before I spiraled and was like, your run muscles are different than your bike muscles. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's going to suck for the next, 2 hours, however long it's going to take me to get to the transition. But, just trust that you can run well off the bike. I've shown myself in training that I can do it. And I think, that's something we all have in common, is that we've all been trained really well, and we've shown ourselves that we can do these things. And I knew okay, I can run well off the bike. Let's just believe that it's going to happen. And, I hobble from dismounting to getting into the changing station. I was hobbling. I could barely even run. I could barely even walk. And something about sitting down, putting the running shoes on and going, I was like, wow, okay, here we go. For me, that was what the whole day was about, was just getting to the run. And then it was time to get to work, and I got there, and it was time to get to work, and the work I did, it was amazing. It was a beautiful day.
So with this podcast, we always love to give insight for people listening to kind of move them further along in maybe their exploration of Ironman in this instance, or becoming an Ironman. What was there a specific mantra or visualization or mental tool that you guys leaned on repeatedly that maybe you can share, that others maybe can pull upon in times of challenge and training, because you want to do it in training to use on race day? Or it could have just popped up on race day and that's what you fed to get through. We'll start with you, Laura.
Yeah, I think I had several of them, but the main one really started in the swim was comfort is at the finish line. The only way you're going to get there is to keep moving. So it was just, that was a big one for me throughout, was comfort, and then long, strong, and calm. Calm is invincible, something you say a lot, BJ. So that's something that was just stay calm, stay in my own space. I was just super joyful, and I think and stay present, be in the moment, right here, right now. Don't wish this moment away. That's one that I talked about before. That was really important for me, was constantly don't wish this moment away. and enjoying like Patrick in the beginning, like they got a picture of us, which was great. Before we got in the water, we had our arms wrapped up around one another, prepping to get into the water. The big hugs, and Emma, giving the idea of writing my mom's name on bracelets, and Melissa and I had a time of prayer. Brendan and I walking to the special needs and helping pump up tires, and just seeing Patrick throughout the whole day. And Melissa, I saw a couple times. Emma, I didn't get to see you. You're just too fast. But no, it was just, there was so much joy in the mantras. Were just this constant reminder that I did the work, I think. And throughout the day, just this reminder when the headwind was intense and the crosswinds at times. And I remember in training feeling that wind and constantly saying, the wind is for me, not against me. The wind is going to make me stronger. The wind is, something that's good for me. And I'm like, all that training in the wind prepared me for knowing that I was going to be okay in the wind today, and that it is still for me and is still making me stronger, and it is still a gift, and that I'm going to appreciate it at some point, whether it's on the run or when it's cooling me off or whatever it is. There's purpose in it. And so it was this reminder of being present, being grateful. But comfort is at the finish line, I think, was a big one. Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about the mantra because I had one. It's crazy. So I've been doing this mindset training work certification program. So it really helped throughout this whole process of getting ready. But one of the hypnotic things we did was a mantra, and it had nothing to do with the race. Mine was about cleaning up my house and getting minimalist. And so you basically create this positive mantra, and then you reinforce it. The other person reinforces it. Mine was, I feel lighter when I create space in my life. And so I started going there, and creating space for me was not putting the pressure on the miles ahead of me, right? Just doing what I could do and create space and just appreciate the moment of where I was in. And I felt lighter and I ran better when I did that. And so that was my go-to a lot of the race. I went back to it. I just kind of reapplied that minimalist, clean up my clutter to my race. And it worked really well, considering, how my journey had gone on this race. And the other thing is something we hear a lot, but I remember Melissa Adams, I'll give a shout out to her. She said, it's not over if you just keep moving forward, right? So similar to Laura. So I just all right, minimum, if I keep moving forward and stay ahead of the cutoff time, I'm all good. And so, but really, it was funny where you tap into little things. Like I basically had to go into my toolbox, and I was like, oh, I can grab that tool and I can apply it right here. And I had done a lot of hypnotic mindset work on that tool. So it just worked really well.
And it's interesting when we live such a rich life, right? Like whatever our lives look like, it's, we got to go to the grocery store. We got to, somehow make an income. We got to, have social time with friends. And, everybody lives this rich itinerary of life. And when you are racing an Ironman, you have one job. And I remember thinking that at my first Ironman, like seeing spectators, like, in lawn chairs, like eating chips. And I was like, they have choices. I have no choices. And that makes it so easy. It's like, all I need to do is move forward. That's like a Buddhist practice in such a foundation of Buddhism. It's like when you swim, just swim. When you bike, just bike. When you run, just run. And when you take that mindset into something as gargantuan as an Ironman, it's like you just have one thing to do. It's like there's almost like a freedom in the simplicity of that day, because you got one thing to do: move forward. That's it. Not that it's easy, but it's like in your mind. And if you can, and you guys all, I spoke about Patrick's mindset, but I'm listening to you guys talk and I'm like dying over here because your mindsets are just beyond. They're beyond. Like you are absolutely upper echelon mindset athletes. And it's just incredible to see that, because that is the basis of what YogiTriathlete's about. And to see how you were able to create that space from whatever the noise of people around you, other competitors, commentary in your mind, and keep yourself focused. I mean, it's deliberate focus, which is a skill that you have to train within yourself. And every single one of you is exhibiting symptoms that is a well-trained mechanism of your mind.
Brendan, do you want to share yours? Because we had just talked about it, and I think share it and then explain it, because I think it's pretty powerful.
The mantras. I just wanted to like circle back real quick and just to riff off what Jess said. Like, it's really kind of sweet, like doing these 12-hour, 15-hour, 60, however long it takes you, these events. It's like you lose your ego in a sense. Like you no longer become like, I'm no longer Brendan. I'm a swimmer, or I'm a cyclist, or I'm a runner. There's no person there anymore. There's no debt. There's no rent you have to pay. I don't have kids, but there's no kids you have to look after. There's nothing else existing except let's go forward. And like, there could be something about escapism there, but for me, I think it's a little bit more beautiful, a little bit more simpler, of just like creating this flow and this oneness in that moment. To speak to mantra, I had several. During the swim, it was just long, strong, and calm. I was fortunate enough to just be able to jump in the water and start swimming right away. That hasn't been the case for me for the majority of my races this season. So I won right there. I had won my swim in my mind. And on the bike, the first lap was like, my mantra was like, man, I'm fucking cold. And then the second lap was kind of different. I had shared this with BJ, and I think I yelled this at Jess, and I don't even know if she understood what I said, but I just kept saying like, I am the witness over and over and over again, like out loud, until it like eternalized in my head. And I kept saying that. Eventually it turned into like, I am the road that I ride on. I am the sun above my head. I am the desert sand in my vision. I am my fellow competitors. I am my wheels. Like, just this really big sense of oneness that I felt when I was on the bike personally, that like, I don't remember a lot of that second lap, and I know I was flying. That really kind of brought me to the third lap, which was like, it was tough, but I felt like I was ready for it. And then once I got to the run, it was just all flow from there. It was just kind of awareness on the spine and just thinking like, hey, let's just push this earth away. Just do it. Keep doing it. Mantra is very powerful. I think it's probably the biggest tool that I have, at least in my little box. And it's something that I still, there's more to give in that area. Like, I have more focus to give, I think, in that. I think if I can focus a little bit more on the mantra, there's a little bit more I can wring out of this body that I have, which I'm excited for in the future.
And we were blessed to have our good friend Jennifer Volman with us for like pre-race, and she's awesome. She's also a coach and very knowledgeable and a well-accomplished athlete. And so she, was giving everybody tips on, when we were riding the beeline the day before. But Brendan, didn't she give you a tip before the swim that you did with the water?
So I think I got that tip from the Oceanside race smackdown that you guys did, I believe.
Oh, and she talked about it.
She said something about, dump water on your face, dump cold water down your wetsuit before you jump in the water, just to try to negate that hypoxic feeling. And that kind of resonated with. I just, for some reason, I remember that, or maybe she said it. I know somebody said it, so I made sure to have some cold water with me. It's funny. I had 2 water bottles. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. It worked out really well.
Yeah, because I remember you saying that to her after the race, that you did that, and I think probably jumping into the water, that just kind of, because you said you got into the water, you were just like a seal, like you just kept going. There was no like there was nothing. You just were able to swim. That's awesome.
It was sweet. I like swimming. It was awesome.
It's good for you.
Thanks.
Cool that fire.
I can chime in since I'm the only one who hasn't weighed in on this topic. But yeah, I think for me, in terms of mantra, during the swim, I did also do a little bit of the long, strong, calm. I'm a counter. I like to count. It keeps me present. So I was counting my strokes out there just to pass time and not think about anything else. I think overarchingly, like my biggest thing throughout the entire day was just like sheer gratitude, like from the fact that I was out there with all of you guys to just you and BJ being there, there were so many people from the YogiTriathlete community that were there. Like every time I turned, when there was a crowd, like I was hearing my name being called, like, and cheered, and people were yelling and excited for me. Like, I just feel like I was so grateful. I had so many people who came out to support me, specifically friends, family. Like I had so many moments where, like, out loud, I just was saying, like, God, like, how lucky am I? Like, I'm out here doing a freaking Ironman. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm so lucky that I have like this body that can carry me, and I feel so good. Like, so yeah, I feel like my biggest thing was just like, I did everything I possibly could to not think about anything beyond the moment that I was in right then and there. So just stayed as present as I possibly could. And I was, like I said earlier, just like so grateful, so happy. Like the volunteers too, like that area that was down like in the run zone, that like mile strip right there with all those people, like that was like the craziest, most electric, like amazing thing to experience. Like I just was like, I was telling BJ, like, how could you not be happy? Like, I feel like I just like started running faster just because I was so excited to be in that space with all those people. But yeah, I think I probably too could tap more into mantra. I think I was in such a flow state that I don't even know. I told BJ, like, I don't even know what I was thinking about. Like, I wasn't even thinking. I was just there. I was just experiencing it. Like, I tried to take in the scenery of the bike ride. I tried to take in we all got to see the sunrise and the sunset. Like, what? Like, that was crazy. So yeah, I just tried to be super, super present and be as grateful and as I possibly could, and feel as lucky as I possibly could feel.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you all are Ironman, how has your belief in your potential shifted? Start with you, Patrick.
It's funny. It has. I mean, it makes me realize, just kind of, I guess it's like if you do the work, you can do all things. It's kind of the thing. But what really impacted me was getting the feedback and the impact of the people who care about me, who were following. Like for me, since I only had a couple people local who were there, but had like this little virtual rail, and just seeing the dialogue throughout the day on these group chats on WhatsApp. I mean, not only did it make me happy, but it also made me realize the impact. That was the potential. I beyond what I can do. It's something you touched on, BJ, which is people are watching.
Mm.
And even afterwards, when I talk to people at my work or in my social groups about the experience, around us, we're all kind of like, yeah, this is what we're doing, we're crazy. But as you know, when you talk to people outside in the world, they're like, what? You did what? How long was it? Like I had dinner the day before, and that was the potential that I realized specifically. For me, I'm incredibly grateful that I was able to finish, but I do know in my life experience that if I show up every day consistently and do the work, I will achieve. And this was just another example that what was unique about this it's kind of like the next path of my life. I'm mentoring employees in my career. I'm starting this work in, performance and mindset work. And this was just like another layer of, for me, kind of like my potential in this next phase of my life, just seeing the impact every day as I talk to people about this experience. I shared it on social media. So that was the potential I realized.
How did it feel to hear those words, "You are an Ironman"?
Oh, honestly, at the moment, I was just like, thank God the finish is here. I pushed hard the last mile, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize how long it was when I started pushing. Like I pushed at the fork,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, it's just around the corner, right? It was more than around the corner. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I barely heard those words. But when I finished and I stopped and my friend came over and we had this moment. I saw BJ. We had this moment, and and then hearing other people talk about it. That honestly was the moment for me, and I didn't expect it, honestly. But Yeah, to be real, like my body started shutting down soon afterwards too. So I went into like cocoon mode within. I don't know how everybody else did, but like as the weather got colder and my body started cooling off, it was like your computer saying your computer will now shut down in 20 minutes. And I was like, I got to get everything done before I shut down.
100%.
Save
Yeah.
all my information. So
Yeah, that last turn off the run to the finish that you take when you're going to the finish on that third lap, that's way longer than you think it is. Like we were waiting there as with Jennifer, and I was like, "Where's Brendan?"
And almost
like it takes so long for them to get down.
Every runner we saw in that area was like, "How much longer? How much longer?"
This is so long.
And I did map it. It was like less than a half a mile. So I was actually telling the truth. I wasn't saying like, "Hey, it's just around the corner." It's like it is less than half a mile.
Yeah,
it's long. Yeah.
So what was that first question? I forgot about it. What was the question you just asked?
How's your belief in the potential shifted?
Oh yeah, that's good.
I think I feel alive. I feel like Laura's back, like the Laura that's always meant to be alive and on fire and sharing her light that I was born to be, and that I've had glimpses of multiple times in my life. Like it feels so good to be. I felt like a lion in a cage when BJ and I met. So to feel like that lion, that fire has been released. Yes, the water was cold and definitely put a lot of that calming moment down, but like I just feel alive and like an athlete again. And not that I didn't feel like an athlete in the strength endeavors I was doing, but it's just for such a different reason as a mature athlete and doing something that I had limiting beliefs on, that a strength athlete can't do endurance sport. And to prove that it's possible, not that I had to prove anything, but I wanted to believe outside of what other people say, and that I believed in it, and I knew it was possible, and I knew that you could be athletic and you could do endurance and you could do strength, and you can pick which ones you love to do and to explore those and figure out who you are and what you truly enjoy versus maybe what's been told to you your whole life. So it's been very freeing for me and awakening for me through this whole experience. So to cross that line and still have stuff left in the tank, which says a lot. So I'm really excited to explore what I'm capable of over the next year. So it opened up this like fire of like, I'm very happy with my performance. I'm very happy with how I showed up. I believe I did what I earned to do. But I also know there's so much left in me and so many like opportunities to do more, and that I'm on fire for it and I'm excited for it. So yeah, am I walking taller? Absolutely. I'm awake. I'm alive. I feel good. I know there's going to be obstacles along this journey or opportunities along this next year as well. There always will be, but I have faith in those, that they're meant to be there, and that I will be okay. Yeah.
Did you hear those words?
I did.
I get that. Like, you're just like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm totally done.
I was warned when I got to the fork, or like it was 0.7 to 0.8 miles still. So I was like, oh man, that's actually like quite a ways before you get to it. But I was kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to, like, I hope I'm smiling. Like, just like my thoughts were kind of scattered. Like, I'm really ready to be done. But I was, yeah, it felt good. But it felt, I think I'm with Patrick. I think the most important part was just the pure joy of the people, of hearing you guys, hearing our loved ones, hearing the community of people who didn't even know me. That was more thrilling to me. The high fives. I had to wait to ring the bell because somebody was just going nuts on it. And I just stopped and let him do his thing. And so I could ring the bell. And I just, yeah, I was like, wow, like but I think in a way, didn't you guys already plan in your mind you were already Ironman before you started? I think that's kind of like, you already know you're a champion before you're a champion mindset. And so it was like, but it was like dotting it, making an exclamation mark behind the truth of what you knew you were capable of doing, because we created the mindset to be able to, for the last year, right? That this is going to happen. You are capable. You have to believe in it before you even show up. It's just exclamation mark on it. And to not need the medic at the end, but needing to swim was like, sweet. Like, I just felt good. Like, let's eat.
Let's eat. I love it. And I'm going to assume, I think it was our first group podcast, Laura, you talked about like finding your light again. I'm thinking you found it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just reminding yourself to, it's not that I didn't have the right environment. There was environment stuff that had to change, but it was also my mindset and my perspective of the environments I was in. And BJ and I talked about this yesterday. It's like, okay, how can Laura be better? Like, you can't always change or have control of everything around you, but you can control your actions. You can, and I think that's been a lot of my work, is being in an environment that was hard. And so life teaches you sport, and sports teaches you life. And it's a full circle. And when you can start to walk unoffendably, be better, be kind to yourself as well as to everybody else, allow them to be them, and you be what you need to be. And I think that's what stoked my fire. It wasn't about changing everything. It was about embracing everything and being better in those circumstances. And yeah, it was beautiful. And I'm excited to see what more is to come.
Thank you. Thank you. My gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I can weigh in here, Laura. I love when you answer these questions, because it makes me like literally almost weep and cry and crawl into a hole, because your answers are so authentic and lovely. But yeah, I think for me, like, this is just the beginning, at least I hope, of what's to come for me in this sport, in life. I feel like I've unlocked a version of myself that I don't even know that I knew was in there. And I think it's just validation that, like, we as human beings, all of us on this phone call together, but as a population, like, we're all capable of so much more than we think we are. And I put it on I had posted an Instagram, I think it was yesterday, I posted a post on Instagram, just kind of just stating, like, everything worth anything in life is on the other side of something that scares the shit out of you. And that's what this is. Like, this is crazy to sign up for something like this. Like, it's so hard to comprehend. It feels so far out of reach. And like, I feel like everyone who came and supported me, like, just couldn't wrap their head around the fact that, like, we all were out there, like, swimming 2.5 miles and then biking 112 and then running a marathon. It's like so incomprehensible, you know, but yeah, I mean, I think this is just validation that, like, we can all do really hard stuff. And if we're willing to commit and sacrifice, and it is exactly that, like, you got to put in the work, and there are times when you have to say no to other things, but, like, if it's what you love, like, man, is it rewarding. Like, it just feels good, right? Like, your heart feels good, your head feels good, like, everything about it is amazing. So yeah, I hope this is just the beginning for me. I think endurance sports is such an amazing parallel to life. Like, everything I've learned in the past 3 years through sport is, like, has made me a better person. It's made me a better partner. It's made me a better family member. It's made me a better insert all the things here. Like, I'm selling triathlon, but it's like, I just am such a fan and such a pro endurance sport fan. I just think it up levels you in ways that I don't think we even know is within human reach.
Did you hear the words?
I did hear the words. I agree with Laura. I think, one, I didn't ring the bell. It was my biggest regret of the day. I don't know. I missed the bell. I think all of us except for Laura missed the bell. I don't know. I think we were even told to ring the bell, but I didn't see it. I did hear the words. I was more excited to see everybody at the finish line. Like, I saw my crew, and, like, I actually, like, threw my hands up in the air. Like, I was, like, pumping the crowd up when I finished.
Yeah.
I was like, I was, like, out of my body when I was running through that zone. So I heard you are an Ironman. And, but yeah, I was just so much more jazzed. Like, I can remember at mile, like, 25, I was like, just, like, on the run, just, like, get me to my people, like, get me to that finish line to see my people. So I think I was more infatuated with seeing everybody there and hugging everyone and, like, just the ending feels than hearing the words "you are an Ironman." But I did hear them, and it did feel good to hear them.
It's kind of just like, it's almost just like the closure, right? It's you're having emotions all day. You've had emotions the whole year training for this, coming together in this community, sharing your stories on the podcast. And then it's just kind of like, it's the confirmation, like, okay, it's done. Now you get to detach.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Brendan.
Well, what was, like, the question again? I was listening to everybody. I don't really remember.
Now that you've become an Ironman, how has your belief in your potential shifted?
Oh,
We sort of talked about that today too.
Yeah, I think, what was the words you used? Like, this unshakability. Like, I described it as, like, I feel like I have this magic armor that, like, I'm gonna save the swear words even though I haven't. I'm like, I just feel like I can't be screwed with right now. Just, like, nothing really seems to bother me, which is pretty cool. And just in terms of, like, my own potential, like, I'm already so ready to race again. Like, it's insane. Like, I just want to go. I just love doing that. I think this first Ironman set the bar really high. Because, like, having a first time group, having this kind of squad at the next one, like, I want it to be the same exact experience. It was just so amazing. It was the best time of my life. I can say that, very confidently. That was, I don't know. I was really happy. I'm afraid of some kind of downward spiral depression to come over me after all this is done. But I have a feeling it's not. I'm just gonna, fall back into training. Yeah, I can really only speak for myself, but, I really do believe, like, anything is possible. I was this little chubby kid growing up, and now I'm this Iron Man, and it's crazy. Like, I never thought I would be here in a million years. But here I am, and I think it speaks a lot of words to our potential as human beings, that if we just decide we want to do something, we can do it. Might not come when you want it to, but it's possible. Really, anything is possible if you put your mind to it. Yeah.
And they lit up the sparklers for you.
I got the sparklers. Yeah. No big deal. I did see the bell. I did ring the bell. I will say, from a logistics standpoint, the bell wasn't really at eye level, nor was it that noticeable. It was kind of just like on the rail, like by your hip. But I saw that bell. I wasn't going to ring that bell. I grabbed that. I just rang that shit so hard. It was amazing. And like there was videos of Liz and Melissa like cheering me. I couldn't hear anything. I just saw the sparklers. I saw the finish line. I was like, let's go. It's time. Like I threw my hands out wide. I was like, we're here. I was walking for a little while towards the end. And I was able to like kind of run for the finish. I was able to open the stride up. I really felt like I had some angels with me in the end. And it was so amazing. It was really, really phenomenal. I can't even speak. It was so cool. It was so cool. They hype you up so bad. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's so interesting that, you spend all this time training, you do this huge race, all these miles, all the nutrition, trying to manage, that doing that one thing. And then it all makes sense in like this 100 yards. Like it all, like in that 100 yards of like being in that chute, you're just like, it all is right there. Like it's so incredible. If you've ever done an Ironman, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about like full Ironman, like the 140.6, like it just all, you're like, okay, yes, it's like a feeling. You can't describe it. You're just like, but the why becomes who you are. Like it just all makes sense. It all kind of settles in, and then you are an Ironman, puts the cap on it. And then it's a part of you now, and you get to move through the rest of your life knowing that. And it sounds like there's some serious Ironman bug that's happening. There's peer pressure has already started.
It's floating through what's
I'm pushing Melissa. I'm trying to get her to do. I want her to listen to this. Let's go Lake Placid. She signs up, I'll sign up. Like, let's go. I'm down. I'm throwing it down right now. Anybody else who wants to do it? I'm doing Oceanside. Anybody wants to come to Oceanside? Let's go. Let's go. Let's run it back, team. Let's run a back squad. Emma, you said you're going to spectate. I'm telling. Let's go. Let's run it. Come on. Patrick, let's go. I'm pretty sure someone's already signed up for it. Laura, let's go.
It's been in my mind. We'll see. I'm going to get through my next event for sure. People are asking me like, when are you going to do your next Ironman? I was like, well, I don't know when I'm doing it, but this was not my last one.
When is Placid? July?
What's that?
Placid's in July.
Yeah, yep. I think doing one in the middle of the summer sounds really, really nice for me. Finishing in daylight will be a goal of mine. Finishing in daylight. But I have to say, each one of you have been so special in my life. Thanks for taking me in and let me be part of this little community. As Brendan said, it was pretty special. From just getting to see you all in person to just seeing the amazing people you all are. And this community you've created, BJ and Jess, it really got brought home. I knew this, I knew this was special, and I am so happy that we all were able to finish.
Yeah, it's like, okay, they're all out of the swim. Okay. Laura's the medical guy's not next to her anymore. She's back. Okay, they're all off the bike safe. It's like, oh, exhale. They're all on the run. Exhale. They all went through the finish line. Exhale. Like, okay, now it's time to hydrate.
Your 5 children you never had.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Don't tell me I'm not a mother. Do not tell me I'm not a mother. I've been mother to many. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say to each other? Kind of open it up.
I think just to say something to the community, and I talked to BJ about this, like, one of the other things that was really important to me, and maybe it's because of my like the background I had and being in an Olympic type sport, was how we represent each other as a team, how we represent YogiTriathlete, how we carry ourselves, and how people are watching. And there was a lot of that on the course, and people saying things of, just like, I need to do more yoga. Like, you guys all, you guys all run really well. I had that comment as I ran by. You guys all run. You yogis run really, really good. I've seen you all just busting out the run. I need to do more yoga. And just, just people, I just met some really neat people on the course that commented and just said namaste, said some really nice things to me, and peace in another language. It was just this light that we all carry, and it is a blessing. It is amazing to represent this team, to represent our coaches, to represent each other. And Patrick, you said it really well. It started to just be more important that you just knew everybody was going to be okay and everybody was succeeding, like everybody was going to finish. That was like, it became more important to me knowing that everybody's out there with me, and that I just was sharing this energy all day of like, I want them to, I'm cheering them on if I did pass you or if I did see you, which Patrick, we got to see each other a lot, but we get to share that light and that smile and that energy throughout the whole day and cheering people on. There was a young man who was running towards the last mile and a half while he was walking, and I ran past him. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, you're really crushing it. You're doing good. And he's like, this Ironman thing, it's my first one. It's really hard. And I said, well, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. And he's like, and he got kind of quiet, and he's like, you're right. He started running. I was like, you have a strong finish. Like, again, perspective and mindset, and how many people are struggling mentally, not just physically. And to be able to give a kind word and an encouragement every time we were out there and represent what we're about was really special to me. And thank you for that. Thank you for being, on this journey with me and sharing your lives with me, because it made the day truly unique, really special.
Yeah, I also think this podcast series was such a fun and cool way to go about doing this with the five of us. I think like it was fun for me to learn a little bit about each and every one of you guys too, and your experience and like why you're here and what lights you up and how you ended up on this yogi triathlete journey. It was like amazing just being on course, and the only person I didn't see was Laura. I didn't catch you out there. I don't know. We just must have not been in the loop at this. I don't know. I never saw you. I did see Patrick. I saw Brendan. I saw Melissa every loop of the bike. I saw Brendan on the run. I never saw Melissa on the run, but every single time I saw you guys, it was just like, let's go. Like, it was just like this level of energy that like, I don't even know where it came from. I just like couldn't help myself but like scream and cheer for you guys. So unbelievable experience. And I mean, at Jess and BJ, I feel like we've all said it, but like, just like kudos to both of you, like for creating this space for us to be able to experience this like life-changing event with others and being able to record it and go back to it. Like how neat that we can come back and listen to these and share this with others. And yeah, I just truly feel like I wouldn't even remotely be the person that I am today without both of you. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you both. And for anyone who's like, listening or who's interested in doing this, whether it's an Ironman or a half Ironman or endurance, anything related to sport, like this is a community you want to be a part of. And you will grow exponentially as a person and as an athlete if you are a part of it. So yeah, just thank you to both of you. It's been freaking unbelievable. And hopefully, like I said earlier, like it's just the beginning of what's to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all wear it very well.
Kit's easy to wear.
Well,
And best dressed, of course.
That's so obnoxious, but I love it so much.
Yes.
You are best dressed. You are. I really wanted that in high school and I didn't get it. And now I have an entire team of people who are best dressed. So damn it, we are best dressed.
I think on top of what Emma was saying, no matter, I love seeing athletes go into a sport, no matter what it is, as a newbie, as like no knowledge, just I want to do something. I want to be involved with a team, with a community, with good people, I have a spark of wanting to be a runner or a swimmer, or I want to learn to cycle or whatever it is. for me to come into a space where I really knew almost nothing, it felt like, to just dive in and have faith in myself as a person, and to have the community and the coaches to believe in me before. I think that's a big part, is lean into people who already know, lean into people who already believe in you, listen to our stories, and know wherever you started as a kiddo to where you are now, if you're an older master athlete, it's possible to start now. I saw some incredible people out on the course as well, of all ages, all abilities, going after something that meant something to them. And it was wonderful to be a part of that. And just the energy of the people. If you want to see humanity at its best, go to an Ironman, right? Like that's truly, it's remarkable. But I love when people's lives can be changed. And if I can encourage anybody, if they just have a little spark of desire to do something, to run their first sprint, to, whatever that is, to know it's possible, and to do it being you. Yeah.
Yeah. So beautiful, you guys. Thank you so much. And I think as we start with sprints and we learn more about ourselves, we learn about ourselves, we go a little bit longer, we get up to this Ironman distance, and you just, it's like it's just a laboratory. You just learn so much about yourself. And there's this beautiful thing about breaking down the body to a point where you can't be anything but yourself. And you really get to see who that is. And you guys have this wonderful gift that is your mindset. And so you get to see all that work showing up. You get to see maybe the reaction that could happen. And then you get to have that space, and you get to choose, right? It's not about like, we never not choose that reaction. Sometimes we do. I was saying this to somebody this morning that I was working with, like, it doesn't matter what you choose, just choose it consciously. Because if not, then it's just choosing you, and you're not even living your own life. And so when we have that mindset strength, you go into something like this, like that authentic self just comes out, because you've already worked every workout, you're getting mindset, just in the languaging that we use and the conversations that you're having with your coach. It's all mindset. It's just the way we talk. And it's, this, I don't know if I shared it on a podcast before, but I might have, I think you resonated with this, Brendan, was this quote from Muji, or maybe it wasn't you, Brendan, I can't remember. This Muji, who's this kind of like groovy spiritual teacher, and he's down in the Caribbean. And I love this one so much. It's like, step into the fire of self-discovery. It will not burn you. It will only burn what you are not. And I think that whether we admit it or not, training for an Ironman, completing an Ironman is stepping into that fire of self-discovery, and it will burn everything that you are not. And it's really beautiful to see this other level of you guys rising up from within that's always been there. So thank you so much for all your time in the middle of your Ironman training, coming for these podcasts, organizing your schedules, moving things around to come for the group podcast. Like, it's just, I bow to you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. You always say it so eloquently. And I always have to follow it up. So I have to be pressure on.
No, that's just because you're competitive.
I am.
There's no pressure.
I'm watching you guys race. I wanted to be out there racing. Which is why I signed up for next year. So I'm just really, truly touched by the words that you all use to share your experience, but also to share the impact that YogiTriathlete, which is what Jess and I are stewards of, the community has affected your life and maybe moved you in a direction that you resonate more with, because it is your true self. It is your true self that is rising up and being encouraged to shine brighter, as Laura shared, like to shine that light as bright as you can. It's really important that you celebrate that, because you are uniquely you. You want to be the best version of you, not the second best version of somebody else. And comparison can really be that thief of joy. But each one of you, including Melissa as well, has just embraced this journey fully, like has wrapped their arms around it and trusted and believed that it was possible, even though the evidence of now many times did not showcase that. I know 100% each of you was working through some sort of physical barrier to get to race day, and on race day that did not show up in each one of your scenarios. Why? Because you were feeding the moment. Your mind is stronger than your body can scream. And to Brandon's point, to Brendan's, mantra, like, I am the witness. You are witnessing and observing all of it. You are not it. So that means that you can transcend it. So each of you has inspired me to be better. I know I have the t-shirt and I wear it. I don't know why I'm not wearing it right now, but to be better as best you can in every moment. And that takes presence and power. Each one of you are so amazing. I'm honored to be part of this journey with you. I know Jess believes that as well. And I'm selfishly hoping that we all do the next Ironman together somewhere, because the energy that I know you guys felt, we felt so much so that we want to do it again. And I understand that feeling Brendan says, where it's just like, I feel like I'm going to have a low, like, where's the next high? Where's the next high? It's going to be Oceanside. So if you're in Oceanside, come to Oceanside 70.3, race or spectate.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few other things. So thank you guys for trusting us. Thank you for believing in yourselves that this is possible, and for being a part of this community. I can't share enough how important that means to us.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. All right. Peace out. Series is concluded.